Senator Sherrod Brown, who has long centered his political career on the working class and economic issues. Republicans seem worried that Democrats could be competitive here in November, even in a state that Trump has carried 3 times. Case in point, the Senate's GOP super PAC has set aside $79 million just this month to defend that seat. And beyond Ohio, Trump's influence within the party will also be tested in Indiana's primaries this Tuesday. The president is backing primary challenges against several Republican state senators who broke with him after voting down a redistricting plan that could have cost Democrats 2 congressional seats. Joining us now, Kimberly Atkins-Storr, and this now political analyst, columnist for the Boston Globe, and writer of the Supreme Court newsletter, The Gavel, and Jackie Kucinich, Washington bureau chief at the Boston Globe. Okay, so that was a lot. That was a mouthful. But, Jackie, let's start with you.
Yeah.
What are some of your predictions for this Tuesday and what you feel like Republicans are looking for when they're already sounding the alarm right now?
I'm out of the prediction game because, my God.
Because it's 2026.
Cycles, it's a lot.
It's paying no bills,
but
the prediction game.
1,000%. However, I do think Republicans are freaked out. All you have to do is watch how they're spending their money. I mean, we were talking before we got here about how Ohio, which has been a pretty solidly red state, now you have Republicans really shelling out money there because they're worried about this Senate race, and as they should be. I mean, Ohio, particularly when you look at energy costs, general cost of living, it is going up there as it is everywhere. And if you're not, when you have a senator in Houston who has said some, let's say, unhelpful things, if you're a Republican senator, about people who are struggling, that is problematic. And that is, overlays all the other atmospherics here.
I mean, so much of this is, at its foundation, the White House and Congress have to give the rest of their party, the people in Congress, something to run on. Yeah. And the one thing, let's be really honest, when you look at the bills that have passed, they passed one bill. Big, beautiful bill, according to them.
So-called.
A bill that has so many things to do. It tinkers in a lot of things, but a lot of the impacts are not seen, right? And the impacts that are seen affect such and these people deserve it, like the no taxes on tips. It is such a small segment, and it only lasts for a certain amount of time, because 2 or 3 years. They don't have anything to run on, Kimberly. And so I guess when you look at how and every single day Donald Trump says something that makes it harder for Republicans. They told Jackie and Michael Schnell and Jake Traylor, it's for a White House official in the White House right now. The vibe right now is we know we are already cooked in the midterms. I assume this is a millennial. But when you look at that, it just seems like such a difficult world that Republicans have to operate in that they created themselves.
They absolutely created themselves. Look, in recent years, what have Republicans been running on? Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. They put him out there as the sort of head of the party, which he is, and his charismatic way of drawing in voters, and also someone to run against like Joe Biden. Well, you can't run against Joe Biden this year. And you have Donald Trump now his popularity is reaching the bottom in recent polls. He's as unpopular as ever. And what has he done in this year? You have a war that's highly unpopular. Mm-hmm. You have a war that is also sending gas prices soaring. I mean, I was, at the doctor's office, and the doctor was complaining about how much it took.
And he got money.
Right. So you have that, and you don't have, as you said, anything at all to run on. Meanwhile, you have healthcare costs going through the roof. You have Republicans saying that, women should have more children and they should be able to stay home. How can you afford that? And I believe in that message. My mother stayed at home, and she was a home engineer, as I like to say, because she kept the engine of our family running. In 2026, on one salary to raise 6 children, who could do that? That's not the American dream that's within reach of people anymore. And exactly what Jackie said, in states like where we're from, Ohio, Michigan, they would listen to the candidates who were talking what it meant in their households to have a better life. And the Republicans are not giving them that right now. So I understand why they're nervous.
The headline, Eugene just read from Jackie's piece, "We are already cooked." That is from the Republicans. But I'm wondering, are Republicans cooked in Texas and the Senate race in Texas? And I bring that up because in Jackie's introduction, she was talking about how President Trump has endorsed in this race and that race and blah, blah, blah. We're still waiting to hear whether he's going to endorse Paxton or Cornyn, Senator Cornyn. One, I'm just wondering if anyone knows what's taken him so long. And two, will his endorsement even matter? And three, are Republicans cooked in Texas, or is this the year? This the year the Democrats can turn Texas. Come on.
If Texas was going to turn blue, I could buy one of you coffee.
A good coffee, though.
Yeah, but good,
Yes.
decent, solid coffee.
Yes.
Lots of fancy stuff in it.
Yes.
But I think President Trump's endorsement certainly matters to Paxton or John Cornyn.
Right.
And why? I mean, there is the established Republicans that are like praying that he doesn't go toward Paxton. I think who the candidate is there very much matters in Texas.
Yeah, the reason I think Donald Trump hasn't done it yet is that he's tired. He likes to win. And I think right now he doesn't know exactly what the winning message is, and he doesn't want to it's not about trying to win the state. It's about him looking bad if he picks the wrong guy.
Right.
And so I think that's why he's keeping his powder dry, which tells you a lot about where Republicans are right now, right?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the wrong guy, because I'm still feeling feisty, I want to talk
Y'all have no idea, viewers. Y'all have no idea.
I want to talk about the main race. A read from NBC. Republicans have already began to attack Graham Plattner, and this comes after the Maine Governor Janet Mills suspended her Senate campaign earlier this week. The GOP super PAC, Pine Tree Results PAC, launched an ad Monday highlighting Plattner having a tattoo that resembled a